What is up, guys? This is going to be the yellow spoilers for the Sin Shenron, or the Nuova Shenron, I should say, the 4-star Dragon Ball. So I find this leader to be pretty cool. It's very similar to the leaders that are able to play themselves in rest mode to search cards. This is no different. It's on the front side, it cannot attack, and it has an ability where you can add any yellow card to your Z energy, switch this card to rest mode, and look at the top 5 cards for a yellow Shadow Dragon. This ability is pretty interesting because now you're able to look for any Shadow Dragon you want without any cost stipulation. The older cards of the Sin Shenron archetype is Oceanus Shenron. This is a card where you can only you discard it by bursting 1 for free and look for a Shadow Dragon that costs 8 or less. Now, a lot of the cards in this battle, or a lot of the cards in the deck, are 8 cost, and they're very important because you want a successor into this guy so that you can discard 2 cards from your opponent's hand or KO cards in rest mode, ignoring barriers. So that's a really cool skill too to have. But for the most part, it's a very cool leader because it's drawing on the backside. It draws once on your turn and then once on your opponent's turn. This allows you to get a +2 over one cycle. So anyways, to awaken this, you need to have at least 2 or more energy and a yellow Z unison with a specified cost of 1 in play. This is going to be this particular unison here. Because you don't have the Z charge on your opponent's turn when you're on the defense by pitching a card in your hand, you're actually able to combo for free essentially, because what you're doing is you're placing a card in your Z energy right away on the first turn, and then you can right away play this card. However, I wouldn't suggest playing this card right away on turn 1, as it is a card that can get easily destroyed. So I wouldn't suggest playing this guy out on turn 1. So just an FYI. So anyways, to awaken, you have to have 2 or more energy, and then switches this card and 1 energy to active mode, and then you're playing a 7 Shadow Dragons assembles from your Z deck. This is the card that you want to play out once you awaken. You can only include 1 copy of this in your Z deck, and that's fine, because all you need is 1. And then when you do play this card in your battle area, you place 7 Shadow Dragons with the power of 1 from your deck or drop underneath this card. So they don't really care for the copies, so you can pretty much put multiple copies of these 1 power Shadow Dragon cards underneath. And as long as you have 7 of them, you can combo with them from underneath your 7 Shadow Dragon assembled. This is a card that basically gives you fuel fodder for combo power. So on the backside, once you're able to combo cards from that underneath it, you are able to draw a card. So this way you don't have to actually pitch cards out of your hand to combo. You could just combo from underneath the Shadow Dragon assembled. The way you combo from the Shadow Dragon assembled is by using your unison. So this is the only way you can combo from underneath your Shadow Dragon assembled is your unison, because it says when a player attacks, you may use 1 Shadow Dragon card from underneath a Z extra in your battle area in a combo with this skill negated for the turn. So the whole point of comboing the 1 power Shadow Dragons from underneath this is that on the backside here, you can pay the 1 energy during activate battle, where you choose one of your Shadow Dragons with the power of 1 in your combo area, play up to 1 Shadow Dragon with the same character as the chosen card with an energy cost of 4 from your hand or drop with the skills negated. So this is allowing you to play cards like Ice Shenron. Ice Shenron does have a ability when it is played. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's cards or unisons, ignoring barrier and negated skills for the turn. So if your opponent's going in with like a quad strike or a triple strike, or even a double strike, you can play this card out, ignoring barrier on your opponent's turn, because it's an activate battle, using the backside of your leader to play them out from your hand. And so you're able to draw a card on your opponent's turn, using the backside ability when you're comboing, and then by paying 1 more energy, you can play this guy out to negate a battle card, ignoring barrier. Other cards you can play too is the Nuova Shenron, which has an ability too to be able to rest 1 of your opponent's battle cards in unison when it is played. So that's another way of you can play defense on your opponent's turn. And we also, if you really want, you can play this Sin Shenron as well, so long as you're able to combo a Sin Shenron from underneath the Shadow Dragon assembled. So when you're comboing this card, for example, you can pay the 1 energy to play this guy. This guy leader locks 1 of your opponent's cards in rest mode, so they can't attack, and it also does it on a battle card with 4 or less. So a very cool skill, especially in the early game. And I do play the Destruction Incarnate, which is an older battle card that allows you to negate every 1 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier. So that's a really cool skill whenever they play something. So that's really cool. Also has Block and Revenge, and if it ever gets removed from the battle area, you get to draw 2 cards, which is a really cool skill. So I decided to include 2 copies of this. I know it's a 1k combo power, but I don't mind that too much, because you could just bottom deck with a Krillin if you draw too many copies of it. But yeah, let's go into the other cards in the deck. So the other cards in the deck is going to be your powerhouse Nuova Shenron Blazing Blaster Meteor. This is a card where you can EX evolve on top of a 4-cost Nuova Shenron, and you're able to draw 2 cards for 1 energy. And then on top of that, what you can do is when it does attack, you can choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. This doesn't necessarily have to be in active mode, but if it's in rest mode, then you can KO it and then switch it to active mode. And it also has a skill where it's removed from the battle area by opponent's skill. You have to play a negative 4-star from your drop area. So a lot of recursion happening as well. This is a card that's Nuova Shenron that you're EX evolving on. This is the SR of the set. It can be played from underneath an extra card in your battle area from your hand. So using the +1 ability of your Unison, you could place any of the Shadow Dragons from your hand underneath it. Underneath the 7 Shadow Dragons assembled, and then draw a card, and it gets +5. So you want to be able to place these cards underneath, so you're generating a +1, and then when you finally do decide to play them for 1 energy, you draw another card, and then play a card from underneath. You can play it from underneath the Shadow Dragon assembled. So that's pretty cool. That's basically the strategy, is to try to trouble out this guy. He has like an inherent removal. You can also successor into this guy, because all it really cares about is whether the card is yellow or green. And so since all your deck is yellow, you could successor for 1 energy and play this guy out, and then get double strike or dual attack. And then depending on what you want to use, you can discard 2 cards from their hand, or you can get KO 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier. So really strong battle cards out of the set, and it's an SR. Another old card I played is the Omega Shenron Allies Absorbed. You can play this out for sending one of your 4-cost or less Shadow Dragons. So you can even send a Shadow Dragon Ball to the drop area to play this guy and then draw a card. He's a 30k battle card, and he has a unique. So that's why I only played 3 copies of it. I only want to play 3 copies so that you can have a 30k beat stick. He also has another ability too, where he gets to copy a Shadow Dragon from the drop area by warping it from the drop area, and then adding a card up to 1 card from your life to your hand, and he gains the skill of the cards you sent. So sometimes back in the day, I would banish, or I would warp a Oceanus, and then I would get Barrier Blocker for this guy. That's a skill that you can have. You can also banish a Haze Shenron. A Haze Shenron, if you guys don't remember, is a card that you can combo and then KO one of your opponent's cards, so long as you're discarding a Shadow Dragon from your hand. It's a way of you can basically bamboozle your opponent if they try to go all in on a battle card without a barrier. And as long as the cost is greater than their current energy, you can KO it in rest mode. So let's go into the extra cards. The Flame Shot is a limit 1 card that lets you place a Shadow Dragon card from your combo area in the drop area, and then draw 1 card, and then you get to use a yellow Shadow Dragon card from your drop area with this combo negated. So this is allowing you to basically replace the card itself. But the reason why you want to place a Shadow Dragon from your combo area to the drop area is that once you have a yellow Shadow Dragon 1 cost in your combo area, you get to activate the backside of the leader and then be able to utilize the Activate Battle to play a 4 cost. And you can only do this if you have a yellow Shadow Dragon in your combo area with the power of 1. So with the power of 1, that's why you play the Flame Shot at 3. Although I only played 3 copies because it's a limit 1, and it could be pretty bricky if you have multiple copies in your hand and that you cannot use. So try to use it on your turn and your opponent's turn, so you can mitigate the brick. Ice Shenron 8 is the one that you can use as well to EX evolve on top of this Ice Shenron. I know Nuova Shenron and Ice Shenron looks very similar, and I think they're the same characters. I never really watched the GT series, but they're completely different characters. Like the other Nuova Shenron, you can EX evolve this guy for 1, and then you can draw 2 cards, and then when it's played, you get to lock your leader or battle cards, and they cannot attack. So it's a very cool little skill here that is very similar to the Sin Shenron from set 10, to lock a leader from attacking in the next turn. So that's a really cool skill. Although I imagine if Z leaders are really popular, I would see these skills as being obsolete or not very good. But if you're playing against a deck that doesn't have a Z leader, such as most of the leaders in this set, then you can lock those leaders and they won't be able to attack, which is really strong. For the most part, we've covered most of the cards in in the deck. Let's go into the Haze Shenron. I think Haze Shenron is the last one, and as well as the Shadow Dragon. This card is very useful because you get to place a yellow Shadow Dragon from the drop underneath the 7 dragons assembled. So once you've already used these cards in a combo area, you want to be able to refill this extra card so that you have more combo power on your opponent's turn using the Unison. So that's why you play this particular Z battle card, so you can do that. It also has an ability where you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards or Unison and switch it to rest mode when it attacks or played. So it has very multiple utilities to be able to rest things so that you could to capitalize on things being in rest mode. And then we have the Shadow Dragon here, where I don't really use the -1 ability too much, but you can if you want to. It takes life until you have 6, and then you place up to 1 Shadow Dragon with the from your drop area or warp on the bottom of your deck, and then increase the specified cost of this card by 4. Not entirely sure why that's important, But the idea is to be able to recycle your Shadow Dragons in case you run out of them. So that's why I only played 2 copies of the Destruction Incarnate in the event that I want to have them in my deck. And then the +1 is probably the most important part, where you get to choose one of your Shadow Dragons with an energy cost of 8 or less, and it gains barrier until the end of your opponent's turn. So this can be very useful for being able to preserve your battle cards from being KO'd by opponent's skill. But nowadays, a lot of things ignore barrier anyways. But it's the idea of the Black Smoke Dragon Unison. Yeah, but anyways, for the most part, you're never going to go into this guy. You're going to keep this guy alive as much as possible and defending this guy using your blocker skills or using riposte or even freezes army reinforcements to block an attack and then being able to combo on your turn so you can draw cards. So keeping this guy alive is probably the name of the game, and that's pretty much it for the deck profile. You guys already kind of know what every other card does. As a refresher, this card is a Sensu Bean that you can play for free from your hand if you have 3 or more energies in rest mode. So that's enough talking. We're going to go into the gameplay video on the next portion of this video, so stay tuned for that. Alright, this is going to be the gameplay video of the deck so they can see how the deck works turn by turn. So we're going to shuffle our deck here and draw our 6 cards. And from the looks of it, it seems to be kind of like a mid-hand. We do have our EX Evolved targets, but we don't have any way of playing out the 4-drops from our hand. So we're going to do a full mulligan here because we don't really like the cards on our hand. So this is what we drew. So we do have our 1-drops now, so it's a pretty decent hand. We're going to charge the Dragon Thunder. And then we are going to take our life out. Okay, from here, we're going to use the Dragon Ball ability to add a yellow card from our Z to our Z energy. So we're going to add one of the Shadow Dragon Balls. And then we are going to look at the top 5 for our Shadow Dragon. We're going to add the Oceana Shenron because it is a card that we can play by bursting. Sometimes you do want to burst in this deck so that you can have Shadow Dragons in your drop area. So we're going to do that. We're going to send her to the drop and then burst 1. And then we're going to look at the top 5 for Shadow Dragon that costs 8 or less. Okay, so it looks like we have our Sin Shenron. Let's go for the Oceana Shenron. I think this is more useful for the long game. So we're going to do that and then shuffle our deck. And then we're not really going to pay 1 energy to do anything because we could theoretically play the Sin Shenron Unison, but that's going to be able to be attacked. So basically we're going to take the attack on our opponent's turn the next turn. And then we're going to go down to 7. And then from there, we're going to take our turn again and then draw a card. We're going to charge the Nuova Shenron here. Because we're going to place 7 in Shadow Dragon Assembled. So we're going to pay the 1 energy here to send this off to the drop area. And then now we're going to find our Unison here. So now we have our Unison out with 1 marker. And then from here, we could awaken, but we want to use the ability to Z-charge something first. But before we do that, we're going to use Oceanus once more. So we can find a Shenron that we could place in our hand to the drop. So we're going to do that, look at the top 5. And then we're going to try to look for a Nuova Shenron. That costs 4, and that's perfect. So we found it. And then we're going to add this to our hand, shuffle. And then now, from here, we're going to use the ability of the 4-star Dragon Ball to place this in our... we're going to place the Shenron into our energy here. And then what we're going to do here is tap them. And then look at the top 5 cards of our deck. And then that's going to allow us to look for a Shenron that we need that costs 8 or less. We already have this one. But it's fine to have multiple copies, I guess. Then we're going to shuffle. Then from here, we're going to awaken. To awaken, we're going to switch this over to active mode, untap an energy, and then play a Shadow Dragon Assembled from our Z deck. And then from here, this card is going to be able to group a lot of the 8-star balls, or the balls from our drop area. So we have 2 already in our drop, so we're going to place them back into the underneath for free combo power. And then we're going to look for 5 more balls from our deck. So let's add the Ice Shenron, the Sin Shenron, the Ice Shenron. So it looks like we only have 6 left. So 1 is going to be in our life. So that's totally fine for the most part. Okay, so we're going to group this up together underneath. Now what we can do here is use the plus up ability here to put a Nuova Shenron from underneath, from our hand underneath. The Shadow Dragon Assembled. This is going to proc his +1 and then draw a card. And then he gets a +5 for the turn. And then on top of that, when you do attack with him, you get to combo a card from underneath the Shadow Dragon. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to... we don't have a 4-drop Shenron yet, so we're just going to combo something as a throwaway. So this is going to go up to 15k. That's going to proc the leader ability to draw a card. And then if we do draw a Shenron, which we did, we get to play this out, but we want to play this out on our opponent's turn because this is a sort of like an interruption. So we're just going to simply put this in our Z energy, and then that's it. We could pay the 1 energy to play this out, but we need to have 3 more energy. So what we're going to do now is attack with our leader for 15k, and then basically leave up the 2 energy for defense, essentially. So on our opponent's turn, what we could do is use Power of the Super Saiyan, for example. But most likely they're going to go after the Unison. So if that's the case, we're going to have to find a way to put a blocker on the board. So let's see if we can find a way to put a blocker on board. So I see that I made a mistake. So I'm going to add this card back to my hand here. And I'm going to Z-charge the... we're going to put the Flame Shot in right here. The reason why I'm putting this back in my hand is that I can combo a Shenron ball from my underneath the Shadow Dragon assembled, and then I can pay the 1 energy to play this guy out from my hand. So this allows me to at least have a blocker on board so that I can block with this guy and then be able to combo. So I see why he's important now to play on turn 2. So yeah, that's what we're going to do there. We were using the 1 energy off the leader to play this guy from the hand. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to block and attack and then use Power Super Saiyan on our opponent's turn. And then we're going to rest one of their battle cards. And then what we can also do is combo a card using this ability. We can combo the Ice Shenron and then use the 1 energy to play the Ice Shenron to basically negate an opponent's battle card or unison. All right, so we have 2 units. We have 2 bodies on the board already. So yellow's living up to the control name. This is going to go under Z energy, and then this is going to go still remain at 2. So our next turn, we're going to take our next turn again. We do have the 8-drop Shenron, Nuova Shenron, so that's pretty good. So let's see what we can do here. I think I want to go for the play where I play the Nuova Shenron because he can remove battle cards. So don't forget that by using this skill, you can lock your leader from attacking. So that can be useful. We're going to pay the 1 energy to play the Nuova Shenron from underneath the Z deck. That's going to allow us to draw a card here and then switch one of our opponent's battle cards or units into rest mode. Before we want to EX evolve with this guy, we're going to attack him with him once. That's going to proc his dual attack and then restand him. And then we can pay the 1 energy to play the Nuova Shenron here. And then from here, we have the ability to draw 2 cards. And then when it attacks, you get to choose one of our opponent's battle cards, KO it. If it's in rest mode, you get to restand this guy. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to attack for 30k, KO one of our opponent's battle cards in rest mode because we rested it using the 20k version of this. And then restand him and then attack again for 30. That's a play you can do here. You can also pay the last energy to play the Ice Shenron, but I don't really feel that we're going to be able to use it. So anyways. So now we're going to attack with this guy. We're going to combo with one of our cards from underneath. And that's going to allow us to proc the ability here to draw a card using our Ice Shenron leader ability. And then we're going to Z-charge this. We're going to use the markup ability to place another card underneath. We're going to put another Nuova Shenron here because we can actually play it the following turn. And for the most part, we can't really use Riposte because we don't have 2 yellow cards. Actually, we do. We have 1 in our drop area and we have 1 in our energy. So we can Riposte the next turn for sort of a floodgate. So that's what we're going to do there. When they try to go after a unison, we're going to floodgate them as much as possible. Don't forget to attack with our leader and then this 20k too on top of that before we end our turn. So the Riposte is probably going to buy us another turn. If it doesn't, we do have the Shadow Dragon to block and attack and then utilize this ability to combo as well from underneath. And then we get to draw a card essentially. So we can draw a card on our opponent's turn and then Z-charge. So you kind of get the idea. We have a lot of Z energy in the event that we want to play out a Z card. We're going to charge the Flame Shot, so now we can have 2 cards in our Z. So yeah, pretty strong so far. The only thing we haven't done yet is Successor, so let's swing with this once. KO a battle card rest mode, and then restand him, attack again, and then Successor this away. So that's probably what you can do if you really want to. And then you can KO opponent's battle cards, or you can make him discard 2. Attack for double strike. He's also a blocker, which is kind of nice. We can also pay the 1 energy here to play the Ice Shenron, because I assume that they're going to attack. They've already attacked with the leader. That's going to lock them down, and then you're going to draw 2 cards. So a lot of defensive already off the bat. The only thing we haven't done so far is play the Destruction Incarnate, but you guys already know what it does for the most part. And we haven't played anything from our. We haven't played the Z extra yet, so we can play this for 1 energy since we have so much. We're going to place one of our things in the drop area. And then this Haste Shenron is really useful because we can place things back into the Shadow Dragon assembled. So whatever you need, this battle card, this Z battle is going to be able to replenish your Z extra. And then this also lets you rest something as well. So if you had that the Ice Shenron, so if you had the Nuova Shenron from a turn before, such as this one, and you wanted to KO an opponent's battle cards in rest mode, this guy can allow you to rest the battle card, so that when you do attack with this guy, you get to KO it and then restand him. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the leader. There's not much else to say about this leader. You can also copy Shadow Dragon using this ability to draw a card. He's a 30k, so you can copy the dual attack off of this particular battle card, and it'll be able to attack twice. Yeah, don't forget to use the Unison +1 every turn to be able to draw a card and give you this guy a +5. The only thing we haven't done yet is be able to use the Activate Battle on our leader, which allows us to place 2 cards from our Z deck into the drop area to restand one of our Shadow Dragon with EX Evolve. So if you really want to attack with this guy a 3rd time, you get to restand him using this ability by placing 2 Z energy to the drop. So this is looking to be very strong. So we'll be able to attack with this 3 times if this guy was still out there before we successored. So yeah, looking really strong already. We didn't have an SCR of choice for this one, so I kind of regret not playing an SCR for this particular one. But I think you can play the Gogeta SCR Rainbow, because the only stipulation is paying the 4 energy. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just don't forget to take your life down to 6 when you are awakening, so that you have 6 energy to work with. 6 life to work with, so that you can play Frieza's Army Reinforcement for defense. But that's it for the Nuova Shenron. Pretty good leader, I would say, for yellow. So I probably would play this deck because I actually like the Shadow Dragon archetype. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.